My name is Liz Gabert, and my story begins in the Baptist Bible Belt of West Texas. I married a Catholic man, and together we raised 3 children internationally. Through my travels and experiences, my Jewish faith became secondary to everyday life. Now, after some incredibly powerful events that transpired recently, I'm at a place and time in my life to delve into my Jewish faith. I invite you to join me on this journey where I and an amazing array of weekly guests will enlighten you about the faith, people, and innovations that have shaped Israel and the Jewish people's rich history. Welcome to a journey to milk and honey.
Hey there, just a quick reminder before we get started that if you want to connect with us, you can find our website at journeytomilkandhoney.com or jmhpodcast.com. And you can find us on YouTube at JMH Podcast or A Journey to Milk and Honey. You can also find us on Facebook at Journey to Milk and Honey. You can find us on all other major social media platforms at JMH Podcast. And if you enjoy what we do here at A Journey to Milk and Honey, you can help support us by liking, subscribing, and leaving us comments and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you for joining me.
All right. So as we talked before we started here, it would be remiss of me, honestly, not to ask you how the war, the last almost 2 years now, has affected y'all. And I think you did mention you brought in soldiers.
Right.
So if we could talk about that in a nutshell, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. So again, the Elie Rehabilitation Medical Center at Adi Negev, Nachalat Iran, is the first and only fully dedicated rehabilitation hospital in Israel South, which is a little bit crazy if you think about it. The Negev is 60% of the land of Israel, but only 15% of the population. And that is one of the things we're trying to work with together with Jewish National Fund USA, is to make the Negev a place where people want to settle, to first and foremost help the people who are already there, provide them with the resources that they need to succeed and to thrive, but also to make sure that we bring about 500,000, 500,000 people down to the Negev, 400,000 people up to the north of Israel, because it is otherwise not socially and economically sustainable to keep building in the center of the country in Israel. Now, the resources that we have to provide in the Negev are extensive, and one of those things obviously is medical care. We opened the Elie Rehabilitation Medical Center in June of 2022, a relatively new hospital, only 3 years old. At the time, 9.7 million people were served by 850 rehabilitation hospital beds in the entire country, and none of them were in the Negev. What that meant is that anytime someone in the Negev, in the south of Israel, had a heart attack, a stroke, they were a victim of terror, they were whisked away to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Herzliya, Haifa, further and further from home, center and north, to make sure that they got that life-saving surgery. And then they would stick around in that hospital that saved their life for rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is not a week-long process. It is months. It is sometimes years to relearn how to walk again, talk again, use your arms again. And they are stretched from their family. They are far away. Family has a hard time getting back and forth. Education is thrown for a loop. Employment is lost. This was an untenable situation. And so we realized we needed to build the medical center at Adi Negev. We opened our doors again in June 2022 with 2 36-bed wards, 72 beds. And so 9.7 million people all of a sudden served by 922 beds. We thought we did something, and we did, but it clearly wasn't enough, because along comes October 7th and the horrific war that we've been in for almost 2 years, and the numbers are staggering. Since October 7th, there are 20,000 plus physically war-wounded people in Israel, not even to mention PTSD. There are 20,000 plus physically war-wounded people in Israel. Of them, 4,000 plus are going to be living with disability for life. We're going to be able to rehabilitate them to some point, but they're going to have to get acclimated to a life living with disability. And of them, 2,000 plus are brand new amputees. They lost an arm, a leg, or both. And so this reality of disability is staring us in the face in Israel. We have a severe rehabilitation crisis. We still don't have enough beds, but we immediately jumped into action. We expanded our offerings organically and then beyond what we could do. We again now have 135 beds. We're adding on another ward that should be opening in just a few weeks. We're going to balloon up to 175, and we hope to continue to grow as much as is necessary. But within that population, yes, we've had dozens and dozens of soldiers, and every last one of them came to us in a horrific state, right? They had their lives saved, usually in hospitals in the center and the north of the country, and then every last one of them said the same thing. Let me go home. I want to go home. I want to hug my wife again. I want to embrace my kids again. I want to rehabilitate close to home. And only because of this hospital that is powered by Jewish National Fund USA are we able to do just that. Are we able to provide them with high level care, state-of-the-art care in the Negev, in the south of Israel where they live. And every last one of these soldiers makes a request. They say, if possible, not only do I want to go back to my families at the end of this, but I want to go back to the front lines. And we've had so much incredible success with not only making sure that they can embrace their families again, but get them back to the front line. And that is something that is, I think, truly unique to Israeli soldiers, to these young women and men from the IDF. They are so dedicated. They have such love of the land and people of Israel that even after they've gone through the most horrific things in life, all they're thinking about is getting back out there to support, to protect the land and people that they love. And again, we've had such incredible success. We've had so many stories. It would take several podcasts to fill them, but I'll simply say that we've had an incredible success with getting them back into the field. What we're working on now, however, is the next stage, which is helping them re-embrace their families. And so we have a brand new program that's called Taking Charge of Life. And this Taking Charge of Life program works with some of the most severely wounded soldiers. And it allows them to go through not just the physical rehabilitation, but also the emotional stressors, PTSD of being wounded during war, and to make sure that they can go home and be the father and the husband that they need to be in their households. Because again, when they go off to war and then they got wounded, they're going through the rehabilitation. Everything that they're going through, all of these stressors, all of the traumas that they're going through don't match what's going on at home for their children and for their wives. And so we need to make sure that everyone gets back onto the same page. And so this program makes sure that everyone comes to this magical rehabilitation village and rehabilitates together. They do animal therapy together. They do hydrotherapy and sports therapy together to make sure they get back on the same page and they're able to be cohesive family units. And that is how we are trying, even with so much trauma out there and so many heroes who are suffering, to make sure that we do our part to get these families and bring them back together.
Wow, Lee, you know what? This is so mind-blowing because I think what people, and you can correct me, I'm just sitting here thinking about y'all, Israel. You're a very small country. And people will seem to forget that because Israel's so big in so many ways, right? But you're the size of New Jersey. And it's not like you're part of, let's talk the United States, right? So New Jersey is part of 50 states.
That's right.
You all, Israel is not. So it's not like you can turn to 49 other states for help. Because, and if something, God forbid, something should happen here, we are a monster nation, right? And so I live in New Hampshire. If something happened here, we could turn to New York. We could turn to Massachusetts, right? You all don't have that. And that in itself, just thinking about that, for me personally, is just mind-blowing, right?
You're 100% right. And it's not just that we can't turn to our neighbors on every one of our borders and ask for help, and they would say, they'd shrug their shoulders. It's more than that. They're consistently looking for our downfall and our destruction. It's not just turning a blind eye. They're actively looking for us to fail. And yet, as you said, we're the size of New Jersey, but we're larger than life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's one other area, if you can hit this real quickly, because I can remember when you came here earlier this year, I think I talked with you about it because I didn't quite understand it. So there's something called regional resilience programming for
Yes.
children. And I listened to this because you have these centers, I think, all over the country. I'm hearing you talk about this and explain it to me. I'm going, oh my Lord, I never thought about the need
Yeah.
for something like this. So can you briefly just share what those
Sure.
resilience centers are all about?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the idea is this. We have 9.7 million people again in the state of Israel. Officially, according to the stats that have been put out by the Ministry of Health, there's something like 4 million people officially been deemed they have serious PTSD. As an Israeli who's been going through all this myself, I can tell you the numbers are much, much higher, and they are specifically higher for children. There are so many children who have been through so much. This is the pandemic generation, right? They grew up in pandemic and then they jumped to horrific war. They have not had a real childhood. It's been horrific for them. And there's so much that is needed to make sure that we get them on the right track, that they're not dealing with this post-trauma, with this anxiety, with this being withdrawn, with the anger. We need to give them tools. We need to give them resources to allow them to heal, or at least get them on the track to healing. It was clear all the way from October 7th that all of the towns, the villages, the kibbutzim, all the communities in the Negev did not have enough resources already built in to service all of these children. And so almost immediately, again, Jewish National Fund USA wanted to convene a meeting to figure out how are we going to service all of these kids? How are we going to make sure that all of these children in the southern region had what they needed to move forward? And so they actually had the meeting at Adi Negev, our big expansive grounds. They brought in all of the need knowers and all of the providers, and we figured out many different solutions as to how to provide appropriately for the residents of the South. But one of the things that came out of it was Adi Negev's Nachalat Iran itself started a program called Merchavim Lenefesh. Merchavim is the name of our region in the upper Western Negev, and Lenefesh means for the soul. So we want to make sure that we give a soulful healing for the entire region. And what we did is we transformed the village into not just an oasis of healing for those who are living with and touched by disability, but using all of those resources that were initially meant for advancing disability and for promoting inclusion and turning them into tools for healing all of those in any kind of pain. And so throughout the village, every single day, you will see our residents and our special education students and our rehab patients, as well as hundreds and thousands of children don't have disabilities, not in any way touched by disability, but very much suffering with traumas. And they're using the same resources. They're going and they're riding the horses and they're learning how to care for the horses, and they're sitting around and speaking in therapy circles and petting bunny rabbits at our therapeutic zoo. And they're playing with dogs that are brought in for canine therapy for, again, every single population. And they're doing art therapy and music therapy. And again, you can see that all of these resources that were initially meant for disability advancement, for disability inclusion, are now just being used to make sure that those who are suffering from emotional traumas can also heal. And it just highlights once again, we're all just humans. We're all just trying to be our best humans. We're trying to make our way through life without feeling broken. We're trying to find someone who allows us to feel like we belong. And that's what we do at Adi Negev Nachalat Iran. We're constantly trying to make sure that everyone feels like they have a place, that they belong, that they feel like they can have a happy life. We give them that, and that's the magic of Adi Negev.
Elie, you're an amazing representative of this organization. I'm You've jammed so much in such a short time. I appreciate it so much. For listeners hearing or watching us, feeling moved, what's the most meaningful way they can support Adi's mission, whether from here in America or anywhere else in the world?
There's so much still, as much as I discussed, there's so much more to learn. I would love it if everyone follows us on our socials, on both Facebook and Instagram. We are Adi Israel Rehab. You can see amazing stories, pictures, videos. It's inspirational each and every day. And if you want to learn more and perhaps even donate, get involved as a volunteer, please visit adi-israel.org. That's adi-israel.org to learn how you can become a member of our Adi family.
Yeah. And when we come to Israel, you'll jump right on, or you'll have somebody jump right on showing us around, won't you?
I absolutely will. I will be the one who shows you around myself. That is going to be my honor and my privilege. So we'll make sure we plan in advance. And I hope that as many of your listeners as possibly can will make the journey and will come take advantage of the tour as well. It is life-changing.
Absolutely. Elie, thank you so much for joining me for this very important conversation. And thank you for your all of y'all, your extraordinary work with Adi and what you do every day. Just an amazing thing and an honor talking with you.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. You take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
As we close out this two-part conversation with Elie Klein, I want to thank Elie so much for joining us and for the incredible work that he does with Adi. I also want us all to pause just for a moment and take in what we just heard. In part one, Elie shared how Adi is transforming lives every single day, lifting up individuals living with severe disabilities, empowering their families, and reminding us that dignity and hope are not luxuries. They are human rights. Adi is a place where limitations are not the focus, but possibilities are. It's where people are encouraged and supported to reach or return to the very height of their abilities. In part two, we face the reality of Israel at war, the devastation of October 7th, 2023, and the unthinkable injuries carried by both soldiers and civilians. And yet, even in the face of this heartbreak, Adi has stepped forward. They are providing care, rehabilitation, and healing for thousands who have been physically and emotionally scarred by this war. They are saying to every soldier, every child, every family, you are not alone. We are here and we will walk with you on this journey. Together, these two conversations show us that Adi is far more than an organization. It is family, it is resilience, it is humanity at its very best. And it also reflects something essential about Israel itself, which I love. Israel is unique, a nation that despite unimaginable challenges shines brilliant light, and she continues not only to survive, but to thrive, to innovate, and to share her blessings with the world. From medical breakthroughs to agricultural technologies, from humanitarian aid to the kind of compassionate care we see with Adi, Israel's light extends far beyond its borders. As we shared with y'all in episode 8 of my podcast with Ephraim Shore of Aish, the Jewish people and the state of Israel have made monumental contributions to humanity, contributions that deserve to be admired, respected, and deeply appreciated. Adi is a living, breathing example of that legacy. It is proof that when we choose compassion, when we choose dignity, when we choose to see the potential in every human being, we create ripples that reach far beyond one nation. And now it's our turn. My plea to y'all is simple but urgent. Don't let this just be another podcast. Be part of it. Go to adi-il.org. Learn more about their extraordinary work. Then follow them on their social media platforms. All the links are right below this episode. Share their mission, and if you are able, support them directly, because every act of generosity fuels more healing, more dignity, and more hope. And when you stand with a D, you are not just standing with one organization. You are standing with Israel. You are helping ensure that the light of Israel, a light that shines so brightly through a D, continues to touch and bless the entire world. Thank y'all for joining me today on A Journey to Milk and Honey. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and shalom.
Thank you all so much for joining me today on A Journey to Milk and Honey. Just a quick reminder to jump onto our website at journeytomilkandhoney.com or jmhpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Journey to Milk and Honey as well. To find us on all other social media, including YouTube, X, Instagram, and Spotify, you can find us at JMH Podcast. And if you enjoy what we do here at A Journey to Milk and Honey, you can help support us by liking, subscribing, and leaving us comments and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much again, and shalom.